Hello, what's up, peeps? We're back on After Hours. You got myself, Dr. Chris, here coming in live from my apartment, coming to every single one of you as you come in and pop in, come in and say what's up. I want to know who I'm hanging out with tonight. So make sure to throw a little comment in the chat. Uh, Today, let's see. Today took care of some patients. That was the majority of the day, really. I'm coming off a weekend where I visited my family back home, which was super nice, and surprised my sister and mom for their birthdays. So that was great. Um, some things we got going on in the clinic. Like I said, as you're coming in, popping on, say what's up, say hi. Some things we got going on in the clinic. Obviously, we got these after hours going on this month. Next Wednesday is Dr. Camp's Coffee Community Night. So he does that at Guillermo's. I think it's at 6 p.m. every second Wednesday. So that's next Wednesday. And I think they're going to be starting to incorporate some kind of games going on soon. So I think that's going to transition to a little like game night type style. On the 22nd, I got my group walk, a little community walk out at Two Rivers Park. It's really good for people that are just trying to kind of figure out that first step towards what to do for movement and just getting outside and just enjoying hanging out with people, good company. Um, and that's really the kind of big things we got going on this month. I know a lot of vacations are going on, so if people got vacations going on, you can maybe throw in where you're coming from. What's up, Karen? How we doing? Hello, hello. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be another Q&A style live. So I don't really necessarily have anything prepped at the moment. Um, so this is an opportunity for you guys. What's going on, Melanie? This is an opportunity for you all to fire away, ask stuff, and you can find some resources together and make this a nice little productive time, little Q&A sesh. So really, this is catered to you guys. I know in the past I've flown in on like movement was a big one. Last time I did a Q&A, I think we're talking a lot about like neck and shoulder strengthening exercises. Um, I think I've gone in on some kind of food and hormone type stuff before. Um, so really, it's a free flow catered for you all. So please fire away questions that you might have. Um, Things maybe something that's been challenging you, or maybe something that you're having a tough time making a decision on. Um, Something that maybe you've been wanting to do, but maybe been holding off from doing as it relates to health and well-being. Maybe something you want to try out but you don't really understand. Maybe something you want to understand more. Book that I'm currently chipping away at is this book called Breath by James Nestor. It's a really awesome read. This is the second time going through it, and it breaks down a bunch of different ways. What's up, Ralph? Breaks down a bunch of different ways that breath can really have a positive impact on your life, more than just the typical shallow breathing that we like to embark on as us humans. My buddy from home gifted me this when I graduated chiropractic school. So this book's pretty awesome. I learned a lot from it. Um, oh, this is pretty cool. So this is from 500 BC from the Zhou Dynasty stone inscription. 500 BC. In transporting the breath, the inhalation must be full. When it is full, it has big capacity. When it has big capacity, it can be extended. When it is extended, it can penetrate downward. When it penetrates downward, it will become calmly settled. When it is calmly settled, it will become strong and firm. When it is strong and firm, it will germinate. When it germinates, it will grow. When it grows, it will retreat upward. When it retreats upward, it will reach the top of the head. The secret power of providence moves above. The secret power of the earth moves below. He who follows this will live. He who acts against this will die. Interesting. That was a lot longer of a read than I thought it was. It didn't look like that long of a read, but as I started going through it, I was about three sentences in. And I was like, this is a long read. So, um, Tai Chi for balance and strength. strength and balance input. Tai Chi yoga, um, especially things that are involving movement that has to do with a lot of single leg work, a lot of off balance work, a lot of stuff where all four limbs are on the ground, and then you force yourself to be off balance. That is extremely good for your core. I got kicked off stage. Stabilization muscles, um, and also your brain too. It's really powerful for your like nervous system and for your proprioception. So, big word I just dropped, proprioception. That's basically how your body is aware in like time and space. So if you could like close your eyes and walk around, your ability to walk around without vision, that's like a lot of your proprioception kicking on. Is from this back part of your brain called your cerebellum. So that's where a lot of those codes are created and blueprints are written out, and it's the kind of stuff that becomes automatic. Um, so with Tai Chi for balance and strength input, you're able to essentially, I mean, you're in a lot of like static lunge type positions, with like knee flexion and ankle, and your ankle has to stabilize. So you're getting stabilization from the feet up, which is where a lot of stabilization comes from. That provides a ton of input into our brain for how things are supposed to be, how we're supposed to stand and move. And then we're able to, if we're able to be stable, strong and stable and sturdy in a Tai Chi or yoga position, then we're going to be strong, stable, and sturdy when we have 2 feet underneath us, just moving around casually. Especially, it's really good for people who are older, just because as you get older, your balance starts to go away. And so, reinforcing and training that I think, is fantastic. Um, Yesterday, I went and shadowed a Pilates class. I'd never seen Pilates, never really knew what it was. I just knew they had some sliding board and they did some movement on it. But this guy was running a class. I met with a general manager, and he was running a class that was like women in their 40s through 60s or so, and they're doing a lot of single leg work. They're doing hip bridges. They were doing things for their core and like and spinal mobility and hip mobility, and I was like, this is awesome, especially for people. I mean, it's especially for people trying to do some kind of low impact exercise, big bang for your buck, not a whole lot of energy input, but you receive a lot out of it. And this benefits, it translates a lot to everyday life. Um, and so, same thing with Tai Chi and yoga, especially more like the movement type stuff. I think it's fantastic. Absolutely think it's fantastic. Anything that you can do off balance is going to make you better. It's gonna make living easier. So let's think of things where we might be off balance. A easy one that comes to my mind is carrying groceries with one hand. You carry groceries with one hand from the car to your house or your apartment. You got groceries with one arm, one side of your body has the weight, so it's pulling you over. This side has to stabilize to bring you back to neutral. So all these musculature are on this side of the body, from your back, neck muscles, back, core, everything, even legs. You're having to learn how to walk off balance because you have this weight pulling you down. Really, really good for overall function of body and rib cage and spine. Anything you can do off balance is fantastic. Even just like trying to slowly squat down to sit on the couch or sit in a chair, like your center of gravity is moving. And so if you're able to actually control that slowly on the way down, boom, it makes it moving a lot easier. It's going to help you out in the long run when we start reaching our 70s, 80s, and 90s. Hopefully, maybe even some hundos on here. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of single arm like dumbbell work. Big fan of practicing standing on one leg and doing movements from there. So people out here know what like an RDL is, or Romanian deadlift. Doing a single leg one is fantastic. Just doing balancing exercises, really. There's a lot of benefit with that. As you get older, my grandpa right now, he's very prone to falls. He's 81. Very prone to falls, has a tough time walking, and I think that he would have benefited a lot from doing balance work back in his 50s and 60s versus solely just going on walks. It's tough for him to learn things now. He's got frontal temporal dementia, so um, it's he's not really in a he doesn't really have the mental capacity to learn new things and also recall new things. Um, but that part, doing balancing stuff, really, really good for your brain. Big fan. Um, I can definitely provide more input on how to kind of train that stuff in the future for sure. Thoughts on HIT, high intensity interval training. If you want to absolutely murder yourself in a short period of time, do HIT, do Tabata, you will get gassed. This is designed basically with high intensity interval training. Um, that is almost like it's on the opposite side of bang for your buck as yoga and balance. So yoga and Tai Chi for balance and strength. That's really good for creating stabilization through kind of a low intensity but prolonged, like sustained holds, and then doing movement within the hold. So it's static but dynamic at the same time. HIT is all about jacking your heart rate up, minimizing breaks, and continue to kind of push through. And really, that's going to help out with your cardiovascular endurance and fitness. So part of the so sounds like the theme right now we're going in on is movement and movement for us as we age. And big kind of four things that are big predictors for um, predictors for prolonged health span, not just longevity, but health span, and then also going in on being able to predict like all cause mortality. And you guys are still able to hear me, right? I just gotta think that's so not able to hear me. I think we're still able to hear me. Um, and so those are overall strength, stability, zone two, and then VO2 max. So those are the four. So for movement, it breaks down to those four. So stability, I would also uh, add like flexibility into stability as kind of one, they go with each other, although some people might not think that they uh, can go with each other. So strength, stability, flexibility, zone two, capacity, VO2 max. Those are big predictors for how well your body's going to function as we age. VO2 max stands for maximum amount of oxygen that your body is able to deliver into muscles, when especially when it's at like its peak, and that's a really big marker for lung capacity and your body's efficiency of offloading oxygen from lungs to blood to muscles. We think that breathing has to be just getting air from out here into my lungs, but really it's actually getting air from out here all the way into my muscles and especially my brain. So if we go on runs, we go on hikes, and we start to think that we need a break. More often times that's mental, and it's mental because your brain is kind of getting the fire alarm saying, "I need more oxygen." So we think that we need to take a breath and pant a little bit through our mouth. Um, but actually, we need to be trying. We need to think about how can I get oxygen from my blood, because that's what blood's for, is oxygen transport into brain, offloaded onto brain cells. So there's a lot of breathing with that. And it's actually a lot more exhaling than inhaling. So with exhaling, we are going to be, I'm about to get really sciencey right here. A lot of this is from this breath book. Boom. And it works. On 2 weeks ago, Memorial Day weekend, I was with Dr. Grant's family up at the Buffalo, and we did a Murph. So a Murph is in honor of Lieutenant Michael Murphy, who was killed in combat in, I think, Afghanistan back in, I think, 2004. There's a movie called Lone Survivor that's based off him. Anyways, he used to do this workout back on the base where he'd have a 20-pound vest on him, He'd do this for time. He'd go run a mile, and then he would do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, run another mile, do it for time. And so typically a lot of people do that on Memorial Weekend. So we did that too, and we invited Dr. Grant's brother to do it with us. And Dr. Grant's brother does not really exercise a whole lot. So he was murdered after the first mile. And then basically we broke it up into 20 rounds of 5 pull-ups, 20 push or 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. And by round 4, he was torched. And his heart, get this, his heart rate was in the 180s. And if you've ever had your heart rate in the 180s, that does not feel that great. That is kind of panic. I need to sit down and I might go dizzy soon. He was starting to get tunnel vision and stuff. His body was shut down. So we had him go sit down. We had to take a break. We kept going. Round 8, he stands back up. We asked him how he's doing. He still can't really talk. And then he says his heart rate's still in the 180s. So he was sitting down for about 4 or 5 minutes, and his heart rate was still in the 180s 5 minutes later. That's not good. So I had him sit back down, and I told him, okay, you're going to exhale all the way out. Keep do exhaling. Really try exhaling more to where your stomach really squeezes, and then hold there. So you kind of feel like your stomach is contracted all the way down into your lower abs. And just kind of sit there. Your arms might start tingling, head might get a little lightheaded or so. This is actually your body starting to kind of reoxygenate itself. So I did that, and then basically then you inhale about 5%, tiny, just a little tiny. You're just breathing into your lower abdomen, and then when you're ready to exhale, exhale all but out. You almost want to exhale to the point where it's tough to talk. Right now, it's kind of tough for me to talk. And if you do this for like 4 or 5 minutes and track your heart rate will go back down. So within like 3 or 4 minutes, his heart rate got back down to the 130s when it was stuck in the 180s for like 6 to 8 minutes. That's because we're actually getting oxygen from his lungs to his blood to his muscles and brain, and then everything started to calm back down. It's a concept called breathing, not only breathing slower, but breathing less. So if you are doing HIIT stuff, and I'm about to go break down some little science on HIIT, Melanie. If you're doing high intensity things, if you're doing things where your heart rate's super high, one thing that I've learned to help mitigate that is to actually have longer exhales than your inhales. So it might seem counterintuitive. You might think, well, that's going to be really painful. But if you just do an inhale for like 1, 2, and then exhale for 3, and then inhale for 1, 2, and exhale for 1, 2, 3. Eventually, you'll continue getting to that point where you start feeling like you have less oxygen in your lungs, but actually your oxygen saturation will stay the same. So your oxygen saturation won't change even as you do this. There's a bunch of people that have done studies with this type of breathing. And then what will happen is we're actually getting way more into our muscles and brain, and so everything actually starts to calm down. We get a lot more parasympathetic versus sympathetic. Um, so stuff's pretty potent. Breath's pretty crazy. It's our one way where we can consciously control our autonomic nervous system. It's our only access point that we have some type of control. Everything else is automatic. This is our only conscious thing, is our breath. So one thing I like to do a lot is, especially if I do some kind of like high intensity exercise workout thing, and especially if it's by myself, I'll just take my mouth shut and force me to breathe through my nose, and it makes me breathe a lot slower. Even as my heart rate's going up, it makes me breathe a lot slower and more calm. And you actually end up doing pretty good. Typically, anytime that I hike by myself, I'll just take my mouth shut, and it forces me to breathe through my nose. Some people are like, "Why can't you just keep your mouth closed?" Because when it gets hard, it's hard to keep your mouth closed. You want to get into panting. But if you notice, like if you look at Animal Planet or videos of any kind of horse races, or like a cheetah chasing an antelope in Africa, all of those predators that are moving fast are always breathing through their nose. They're never breathing through the mouth. We are the only mammals that mouth breathe, except for dogs. The reason dogs do that is because they can't sweat. And so they need to cool themselves off, so they pant. But any mammal that has the capacity to, I guess, I don't know if I could be talking about my cheeks with that one. But no mammals breathe through their mouth. They all breathe through their nose. I wonder why? Because we're supposed to breathe through our nose. I think there's like the first or second page of the Bible, it says they breathe air into their nostrils. So it's like breathing is meant to be done through your nose. It's not meant to be done through your mouth. Um, and It's pretty powerful. So with hit is like, see, basically it's max up tempo stuff with minimal break. It's really efficient. It's very effective. You get really fit. It's a really good bang for your buck because it doesn't take a whole lot of time. So if you're looking to get it hard and get good 15 minutes in, 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, that's a really awesome way to do it. In terms of some of the benefits you're going to get, that's going to be training more of getting into more of that VO2 max threshold. So maximum oxygen output for units of work done. And it also on a physiological level, so it's going to increase like your peak of your potential, like your ceiling. It's going to raise your ceiling up for your physical capacity. It's also going to force you to have to create more energy faster. The things in our cells that create energy are called mitochondria. You might have heard of that in third grade, that mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. They create energy. So we actually are forcing our body through adaptations, a lot of times through HIIT style workouts, that are going to create more of these things called mitochondria. When we have more of those, um, there are studies that are showing that an increased amount of mitochondria that are also functioning good are also predictors for quality of life later in 70s, 80s, 90s, and also for prolongation of life too. So doing those kind of things have a lot of benefit because this actually is forcing ourselves to create the good things versus holding on to the bad stuff. Um, so with strength, so those four kind of big things: strength, stability, VO2 max, zone two. Um, the way to kind of think about like zone two and VO2 max is basically what those are saying is that we want a blend of, we want to be strong, sturdy, stable. We also want to have some degree of cardiovascular fitness. So we need a blend. Um, I used to be the thought that I could do one or the other, and a lot of people think that. And last year, I kind of learned that no, you actually need both. And so this year, I've been pouring into both, trying to get both up to speed. With the zone two, that is essentially prolonged cardio that is going to be operating in a heart rate realm of like 120 to 130. An easy way to measure that subjectively is hanging out on a bike or going on a little jog run with someone, and you're still able to sustain a conversation while doing it. If you get to a point where you can't, like, you're not able to hold a conversation and speak in full sentences, then you're going too fast. Then your heart rate's too high. So you're that way. So when that happens, now you're up into zone three. You want to stay in zone two. If you can do zone two for a long period of time, that's a really good metric to try to hit. So the visualization mindset that I want you guys to adopt is to have a really high, a really wide and tall base, a really wide and tall base, and as tall of a peak as possible. So we're having a really wide, tall, square foundation and a really high, tall ceiling. You want to have both be as high as possible. When we do that, we're creating a really good recipe for our 80s and 90s, and also last decade of life. The doc that talks a lot about this, who basically is a medical doctor specialist in longevity and prolonged health span, is this doctor called Dr. Pita Attia. You might have heard me mention him before. There are a couple fantastic podcasts that he has been on, including my favorite one, Modern Wisdom. And this is his book called Outlive: The Science and Longevity, The Science and Art of Longevity. Peter Attia. And this book is great. It outlines, so basically part one is kind of breaking down this mindset of medicine, like current medicine and its purpose, versus like reactive versus preventative medicine, essentially. And so preventative medicine, guess what? Sorry for the fumble. Guess what preventative medicine is to an MD who used to be a pancreatic surgeon at John Hopkins? Moving good, sleeping good, eating good, thinking good, taking some. The only thing that he doesn't have in here is nervous system. So I'm gonna have to give Dr. Peter Attia a call, and him and I are gonna have to go get coffee sometime so I can teach this man about the brain stem, the thing that it does. But part three is where he actually has all the practical at-home stuff. So part two is really the big four kind of killers of modern humans right now, which is metabolic syndrome, aka pretty much like diabetes, or things that are leading to diabetes, heart disease, so like atherosclerosis is the one he talked about. Cancer is the one he talks about, and then also Alzheimer's, neurodegenerative diseases. Those are, he calls them the four horsemen. Basically, it's the top four causes of death in humans. And all those are completely preventable if we do the work in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on. So, part three, chapter 11. Chapter 11 is titled this: Exercise, the most powerful longevity drug. So we can take all the medicine, all the prescriptions we want, but the best thing that we can do to keep our body loose and thimble is moving it. And my rule of thumb, my personal rule, is just move every day. Get my heart rate up once a day. It's my personal rule. And I've been doing it for about 2 years, and it's absolutely fantastic. Even if it's just rolling out of bed and doing a set of push-ups before going straight into the shower. It's gonna get my heart rate up. It's good for me. Let's do it. So chapter 13, he's got stuff on stability. So Miss Karen going in on stability. Chapter 14 is going in on nutrition and biochemistry. I haven't read part 3 yet, actually. I'm still working through Alzheimer's, which is the last chapter, part 2. So I'm pretty excited to learn this and hear what he has to say. Improving sleep, and then working on emotional health. And that last chapter is titled Work in Progress: The High Price of Ignoring Emotional Health. So this is fantastic. Once again, this book is called Outlive. I recommend checking this out. Dr. Peter Attia, A-T-T-I. I'm going to post that in the comments. If you guys haven't noticed, my entire goal with teaching and interacting is to create absolute superhumans. So I hope that in your time that you all know me, that we all become superhumans in the next few years and just absolute beasts. Let's see. Strength, stability, VO2 max, zone 2 cardio. How can we incorporate this into a daily thing, into a daily recipe? I'll leave you guys with that. So strength, for me personally, I recommend and I encourage you to adopt the mindset that your own body is the cheapest gym membership you will ever have, and it is the best dumbbell, barbell machine you will ever get access to. So what that means is moving your body is free. It doesn't require a gym membership. You don't have to go to a gym to do it. You walk around with it every single day. In fact, you actually almost never leave your body alone. It always goes with you. So you're stuck with it. 2, your body is your best dumbbell. Doing anything body weight I guarantee you, especially out of the gate initially, is going to be better than a dumbbell. People like to start doing dumbbell stuff, and like for example, my I was showing my mom. My mom wanted me to watch her do an incline dumbbell press and just like check her form. And she was using a 3 pound dumbbell. My head, I'm like, man, if you could just do a push up instead, like just one push up, that would be so much better than trying to press a 3 pound dumbbell. Because if your body, let's say your body is 120 pounds, if you're able to move that, that's a lot better than the 3 pound dumbbell. And it also takes a lot more coordination because it's you moving your own body versus trying to stabilize a weight. I think that doing bodyweight stuff is far better bang for your buck. If you can control your body, you're going to be able to do a lot of things later in life. So, some kind of push up, you can modify it with a countertop or doing it up against a wall, but just doing that, a lot of bang for your buck. Um, I'm a big fan of like lunges, squats. Peter Tia is really a big fan of lunges and step ups. So basically, kind of having your foot maybe up on a table, couch, ideally a bench, having your foot up on a bench, and stepping yourself up onto the bench. And then as you get stronger, loading more weight with it. Just because if we fall in our 80s, if we fall, how are we going to get off the ground? You have one leg up in the lunge position, and then you have to stand up. How are you supposed to get up, walk upstairs? But it's step up position. How are we supposed to go uphill? Step up position. And it's forcing, stimulating your glutes, which is the biggest muscle in your body. The most powerful muscle in your body is your glute. So making sure that that is good and strong as you get older is critical. Doing any kind of split stance thing, offset thing, that's going to create stability because we have the potential to get off balance. So anything that we can do off balance, I encourage you because um, if you end up becoming balanced over time, doing that, you're going to be way more balanced when you have 2 feet actually underneath you. Really good stuff. Uh, Zone two, an easy way to do that is to start is going on walks, and the easiest way to incorporate walks that's best for you is to do it after eating. Helps digestion, helps stimulate blood flow, helps create some movement to help with digestion, and also just kind of moving all the food that you just ate. It's gonna really get enzymes circulating around your stomach. I learned a lot of that actually from Nathan Slinkard, and him and I do a show on Thursdays called Nutritional Edge at noon. Tomorrow we're going in on foods that help with migraines. His topic, so that's gonna be cool. Um, but that's a really easy hack. If you just eat, and every time you eat, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go on a walk, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. If you want to impact zone two, typically you're wanting to be around 30, 40 minutes for zone two training. And once again, that is a heart rate or a pace, a tempo that you can still have the conversation with. So, want to increase your zone two, that's more so time, that's the endurance type stuff. VO2 max, which is in the realm of HIIT, typically aim to see how far you can get or how much you can get in 12 minutes minimum. So, say hypothetically, I was like, hey, I'm going to do some VO2 max training today, and I'm going to do it with a run. I would just set my timer for 12 minutes. And I'm just going to see how far I can get. So maybe like for me, maybe that's just a lap around my neighborhood, and maybe that takes me 12 minutes. Okay, well maybe next time I see if I can get a little bit past one loop in 12 minutes. So the further you can go in 12 minutes, the better that your aerobic capacity is, the better your lung capacity, the better VO2 max you can get. I mean, it'd be pretty dang cool if the first time you ever tried that, um, 12 minutes got you like a half mile or so, and then in a month 12 minutes got you a mile. That's pretty dang good. And then maybe in 3 months 12 minutes uh got you like 1.2 miles. Like if I hopefully you guys are following where basically the more distance you can cover in 12 minutes the better, because that way you're actually pushing yourself. Really, you start going beyond that, you probably will get out of that range. VO2 max will be in zone 5, which is like heart rates in like the 170s, 180s. So you're pushing it for sure. Um, so just blending that stuff in throughout your week, making up a little recipe. Typically, people are doing like 3 or 4 days of strength training, stability stuff, and then mixing in zone two walks are really easy to mix things in too. Maybe with your workouts or a few times a week, that creates a really nice recipe that you'll probably start seeing the fruits of probably in about like 2, 3 months. Um, so I think that's a really good place to start. It's beneficial, and that's what I got today. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Good questions. I hope you guys enjoy these Q and A's because really it's just one question, and I can kind of free flow from there. So it's good for me to just be able to kind of hit you guys with what it is you're actually wanting versus us coming up with a topic and then you just tuning in and sitting around because I mean, who knows? Maybe that wasn't a topic that you wanted to hear. So with that being said, um, we are going to raffle off some stuff. We're gonna do a $50 gift card to Five Star Nutrition. I'm Peace with Five Star Nutrition out in off Chenal. They're awesome dudes, great peeps, and uh, and they're fantastic. Also, you should get their 3D InBody Fit Scan. It's free, gives you a lot of metrics. If you get it, I will personally set up a call with you and go over the metrics, and I can help you out with that stuff. So, if you're looking for that, comment VO2. So if you're looking for a chance to win that, comment VO2, capital V, capital O with a 2. I'll give y'all a minute and we will go in on that. I'm going to open this book up to Random Nugget. All right, I opened up into sleep. Is there a reason for increments of 12? 12 is just typically like if you're moving for 12 minutes, that is the metric. That's typically when we're gonna start hitting like VO2 max threshold type stuff. And you're really not going to kind of hit that in 6 minutes or 8 minutes. The reason why is because training your VO2 max, to be completely blunt, sucks. It sucks because you're basically out of breath for like 3, 4 minutes and you're still trying to push as hard as you can. Um, and that's where you get the bang for your buck because you're probably more than likely going to be tapped. Like if you're booking it from minute one, and you're going to because VO2 max, like that's maximum. So it's maximum output. Like this isn't like a jog that you're doing, or like you're not trying to make it to 12 minutes. Like you're going balls to the wall from the when the whistle blows at time 0. So if you can get to 12, that's pretty good. More than likely, you're going to be slowing down and losing steam probably within a couple minutes. So the way to kind of do it is, I think that the way to measure it is just do 12 minutes of a movement, but then see if we can increase the distance within that 12 movements. So if we're going farther distance, but we're keeping the time constant, that means we're moving faster. So if we're moving faster, that means we have to be therefore increasing our VO2 max. Um, the other way to do it is, I mean, like one way to do it is like run a mile as fast as you can. That's keeping the distance static, constant, and then the time is a variable. I think what actually might be better is having the time be constant, but then the distance is variable depending on how fast you go. And obviously, you want to, if you can increase your distance within the 12, then you're doing pretty good. Yeah. Okay. I heard that on a podcast somewhere where I actually might be the Peter tell you one. I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna post in the thing. So we have 4 people that threw down VO2. So I'm gonna pull up a random number generator. I'm also going to pull up this podcast episode link. There's 2, but I'm gonna share the first one with you guys, and then maybe another time I'll share the second one. So here is think. Here's this. Okay, check out that video. It's about 2 hours long. Absolutely fantastic content. It's in 4K too, so it's like watching a movie. It's excellent. VO2 max. You got 4 peeps. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 VO2s. If you haven't commented, VO2 max. Tough nuggets. What am I doing? Random number generator. This is minimum 1 through 4. Generate 4. Number 4 is Terry. Terry Ayers. 1, 2, 3, 4. There she goes. So when Terry's knocking out 18 miles in 12 minutes, she can thank me for getting her that gift card to 5-Star Nutrition. Check out that link below. This link that I threw down there. This, I'm telling you guys, this stuff is a game changer once you learn it and once you hear it. This guy is awesome, and the host is probably my favorite voice to listen to. He's a British person, is really entertaining and does a great job facilitating conversation. If there's an incentive for you all to listen to that podcast, about minute 20, minute 30 in, Dr. Pete Attia takes the host, Chris, through his typical flow of the consult. And what he'll ask the person is what do you want to be true in your last decade of life? What do you want to be true in your last decade of life? And then he'll help flow the patient with the answers into a game plan. Okay, so what can we do now that's 4 or 5 decades like early? What can we do now to prepare our body and mind to be able to have those things be true in that last decade? So that question is from that podcast. It's a really good question to ponder. Think about it. Make a list. What are the things you want to be able to have true? For me, number 1, I want to be able to controllably sit on the toilet when I'm older. When I'm in my 90s, ideally, I plan on living until I'm 114. Obviously, we'll see if that's in store for me or not, but I've been telling myself that for a long time. And I have a plan to controllably sit on the toilet when I'm 114. So that is really a big goal of mine to be able to do. I don't want to fall and crack my butt on the toilet. So that's what I got. I'm popping off. I got a Star Wars show to watch, and then I gotta get to bed. See ya.